Welcome back to Old World Fanatics. It's Gomo here, and I've got two very special guests on. I've got Pash Hammer from Pash Hammer and Dan from Malign Musings.
Hello.
You've probably seen the topic of the YouTube channel about global rankings for Old World Rankings. I was putting that together, and I thought, who can I talk to actually help do this? And Dan's already sent me a bunch of stuff, so I thought, let's pull these guys on. Dan actually helped me come up with some of it, and I think Pash was ranking third in my beta initially, and then dropped to like
before
ninth.
you changed the formula. You rude man.
So I thought, let's get them on and let's sort this out. But for those listening,
it's the anti-Scottish bias again.
Yeah, we all have our favoritism. We know where you sit, Gomo.
So I wanted to go, hey, why don't people enjoy a little bit of look behind the scenes of, it's almost like from a software point of view, it's a little bit of a customer interview here. I'm just chatting around. What am I going to do here? And get people's thoughts and all that. So that's pretty much it. I'll probably maybe bring the rankings up in a minute and we can chat through it. But yeah, I don't know if you had anything to add to that, but otherwise I can just start talking about it. I don't know.
I think it's probably a good idea to just preface this whole conversation with, this doesn't really mean anything. Like, all of this is just internet points. Like, this is
totally,
nobody get upset about where somebody is on the ranking. This is just all banter. This is all for fun, and it doesn't matter if one system shows a slightly different result or another. We all know our own worth. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because look, I'll be honest. I mean, to me, it's another fun thing to come to the website for. And people, I know that it's like competitive play. Like you listen to other YouTube channels and they talk about, don't worry about that. That's just only competitors worry about that. But in reality, everyone is they are competitive and they do look at meta and they you know what I mean? Like, you put a meta thing up on that big 40. What is it? The old Warhammer Old World : no, which one is it? The Facebook group with like 40,000 people on it or something.
Oh yeah.
You put a post up about anything to do with comp, and everyone just or meta, and everyone massacres it. But at the same time, it's like they all do look at it still. So it's just the same thing with this. It's like, points are fun. Yeah, but don't we're not trying to lord it over anyone and say this is the way. So it's a really good point. Yeah, so I guess the history of this.
I mean, the thing is, though, that said, and I know you've already said this, but if you do put up a ranking of people, these are all competitive people. They all do want to win, and so I think if you do that, there is a degree of responsibility to try and get it as fair and as balanced as possible, so as not to to essentially reflect everybody's efforts as much as so it feels accurate. And so people feel fairly done to, unlike Pash, who's been demoted for no reason, obviously.
Absolutely blatant favoritism.
And that's why I sort of wanted to get you guys on, because obviously there's been a lot of history. You guys have been in the game a long time. You've seen a lot of things come and go, and obviously I dipped my toes in the actual tech side of this last year and built the Old World Ranking site. But up until, for those who are just coming to this, obviously go to oldworldrankings.com, link in the site if you have no idea what we're talking about. Actually, I might just bring that up. Let's bring that up now. Oh, look at that. And now you've totally been covered up with Element Games there. Pash is just really getting treated bad on this channel.
I used to be on that front page up until a couple of days ago before all the changes, but never mind.
It might be back, actually. After this, we'll have a bit of a chat. But yeah, so up until the other day, this didn't have any global rankings, and there's other people doing that as well. This was just primarily ranking the different countries around the world, and some of them, like awesome UK, Australia, and New Zealand, are running official rankings in terms of the Masters ranking. So the Australian one just finished their season 1, and these points are here are all sort of different. Yeah, we can get into that maybe, but they've got their own way of scoring the points. I wanted to come up with a way that sort of is just, I don't have to talk to anyone as such. We just rank everyone around the world. And that is what was added last week. But it's beta at the moment. So if you come into Old World Rankings, I'll just go back to the homepage, click this gold bit, you'll get to pretty much every player that's played an event. Now, I shouldn't say in the whole world, because obviously we're not pulling everything, but we are pulling, what do we got here? Nearly 1,000 tournaments over, So it's 20 countries data coming in as much as, and it's growing all the time, but yeah.
Nice.
So that's the history of it. But yeah, going to Dan's point, how do you actually do this so it's fair and equitable, accurate, without having an actual right answer at the end of the day, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, because when I was doing, I mean, obviously I don't have any of your tech skills at all, so I was manually pulling data off, various sources and putting it into a spreadsheet. And what I was trying to come up with was like a score that you could attach to like individual player results, so you could then not only rank like people against other people around the world, so it's a kind of universal scoring mechanic, but also so you could use it to like analyze like how well factions are performing as well. So it kind of feeds into the so if you've got like a player score per event, then you can look at like all of Empire player score, for instance, and see if that's different to and the whole point of it was to try and reflect basically the size of the event, how well somebody did, of course, but modify that by the size. So a big emphasis on how well somebody's done. And so I used the percentile rank. So basically, if you finished first, you end up with a score with the highest score, and if you finish bottom, you end up with a low modifier. So if you finished like 100th out of 100, your score would be 0.01 of whatever your other score. So it heavily modified it. So the finishing position was like the heaviest weighting, but then that was then modified by the size of the event. And also I used a mathematical thing called Euler's number, or E, to kind of degrade the result over time, such that, I mean, Euler's, I'm not going to explain it. It take ages to explain it, but basically it's about 2.71. So and there's a whole, but that's like an exponential decay curve. So a geometric pattern is where you go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, blah, blah, blah. Whereas an exponential is kind of, so rather than getting, so so the whole point was so that everybody's results over their entire lifetime count towards their global player score, but results from several years ago are greatly diminished. So so there's a big weighting given to recent results. The other flexibility that E gives you is that, or Euler's number, or E gives you, is that you can essentially just modify it, so you can essentially multiply the number to give because it's essentially a modifier, so you can give more weight to recent results, or if you decide that you want lifetime results to matter more, you can then essentially modify it again. It's just math. Exactly, it's just maths. So so that was essentially, that was the key thing that I mean, in terms of like the base score, the degradation bit is the bit that I'm interested in. In terms of the base score, I'm not really bothered about how that's calculated, as long as it's fair. But I do like the idea that everybody's efforts over their entire lifetime actually count.
And that's also, just with that point, that's what differentiates it from, at least in my mind, from these master or season rankings where you've got, best of X for that 12 months or whatever it is. That's cool, and it gives that a reason to exist. But this is more of a, I just want to see the whole lifetime. And obviously, as the game versions change and stuff, that becomes debatable. You probably would reset it at certain times, but
well, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily need to, because like with E, so basically your result this year, right? So if you'd been to a tournament last weekend and you got first, you'd still be getting a very high score for that, right? In a year's time, it's going to be worth roughly, it's just over half of that. In 2 years' time, it's going to be worth about a sixth. Is that right? Well, just under a sixth. And then a year after that, so in 3 years' time, it's going to be worth a 24th. And then in 4 years' time, it's going to be worth like 1,000.
It's negligible anyway.
So it's negligible after time. So you don't. So the point of using E was that you don't really need to reset it ever for changes in meta or addition or whatever, because that will happen naturally anyway. Like the score will just, your older score will just diminish. So you could ask the question, what's the point? But I don't know. I like to.
Let's exclude that, because we're not worrying about that. Like Pash said at the beginning, this is all fun, and that's why we're doing it.
So, that's fair. But it does make sense that it's good that your results and events essentially carry on as part of your permanent record, as it were, but they only affect it in a positive way and what I mean by that is essentially if you only recorded your last 4 events, you know, and you came, you know, first, last, first, then those, you know, there's going to be a detrimental effect there. While if you had this on your permanent score, so all your events that you've ever done, those ones that you don't do so well on don't really matter.
Yeah, well, the further if you like as a player gets better and they play more,
yeah,
those bad results earlier on
yeah,
are worth less and less and less. So it's less of an issue. Yeah, you don't get
But-
penalized for your beginning skill levels.
well, it's not just beginning; it's also just experimenting, because this is an issue that I see with some ranking systems. Is basically if all you care about is all your results ever, and there's no sort of degradation to your score, then you're always, as a competitive player who cares about rankings, you're always incentivized to basically do as best as you can at each event, i.e., take the hardest list, do, you know, as best you can and try and win every game. Now, competitive players will do that anyway. However, sometimes you might be like, well, you know what? I've played with this army. I'm bored of it. I want to try Skaven, and I just want to see what I can do with it. I know I'm not going to win the event, but maybe I can find some cool tech. And if your score mattered, if it was only like the certain last amount of games that you've played, then that could have a detrimental effect on your rankings. Does that make sense? Am I explaining that
it
right?
does. Yeah. Well, eventually it'll disappear. Yeah. So,
but if you have the rankings that you're suggesting, then that your one blip event or whatever doesn't really matter so much. It encourages you to experiment, which I think is quite good.
Yeah, especially if you got the volume of games. Yeah, 100%. I guess the two, like, so just to spur some of the discussion and the two major things that I think about, well, there's 3 actually. And there's probably a million other ways, but the 3 things that when I build this and then go, what do I do about this, is online games, like online events. And that sort of ties a little bit into what do I want to encourage, in the sense of like I actually believe that people who are engaged in the community should be classed as people who are actually good players. So if you come and this is why I like the degradation thing too, because if you go and beat up on people for 6 months and you're really good, but you don't play much for the next 2 years, yes, you are a good player, but I feel like you're not actually contributing to the community. So therefore, those scores should degrade anyway, because I sort of want something that encourages people to keep like participating. So that's one thing. And then the third one, which is sort of a little bit close to my heart because we're in a very small country compared to you guys, is making it fair for people. Like, you know, like New Zealand only have a handful of tournaments really, and then Australia has maybe one good one every 2 weeks or something. Whereas you look at them, I mean, I'm sitting there every week looking at what comes through the US and UK ones on our site, and there's dozens of events. So, you know, Phil Carl has done so many events in the US that of course he's on top. He's also a bloody great player, but it's like, so that is a really challenge with these ranking systems. If you've got the time to just smash out events, and I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure Phil played 2 events in a weekend almost like the other day. So I don't know if I wouldn't be surprised or not, but so it's like, I don't know. I just throw those 3 things out there. Like, what do you think? What does that make you think of when you think of online, contributing to being active in the community, and also how do you make it fair for people who can't attend, you know, the volume of events?
Go on, Pash. You talk about online. You love it.
So I probably play in an online event every month, I would say. But an online event can last 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So 7 weeks, like it could be a long time. Sometimes I'm running multiple online events at the same time. So I have had it where I finished 3 events in 1 week, 2 online and 1 in person. So that was a lot of games in one week. And it can be a lot. So you still have online Warhammer, you still have the same sort of knowledge skills in terms of, you know, what pairs up against what. you have a different set of tools available to you than you would in a real game, a light IRL game, essentially. So it is using a different skill set. It's not the same as a real life game. Like your degree of accuracy is far too high. Your ability to get the perfect move is a lot more. It's a lot different online than it is in person. You have to use a different set of communication and interpersonal skills online as you do in person. Like you've got a whole host of, like, it's not the same. It's not the same experience. Now, is it worth as much as one in person? I don't know. I don't think so. But at the same time, it's sometimes harder as well. So, say for example,
why not?
So, for example, if I were to play in a weekend event, you are playing 5 games. 3 on one day, 2 on another. Usually, you're playing back-to-back games, so you don't you basically finish one game, you go into the next game, finish one game, go into the next game. Beers, sleep, next 2 games, boom. There's a different set of skills that you need for that. Okay, in an online world, you have 5 weeks of who am I playing this week? I'm playing this guy. What's their list? I can study their list. I can do my homework. I can do my deployment. Like, it becomes a lot. You put a lot more effort into online gaming.
You could argue that makes you a better player too. You're prepping better. So, like, it's so funny.
But does it? But then, if you think about it, if you were just thrown into a matchup and you were like, right, start thinking about it, it's a different set of skills.
Think on your feet. Yeah.
There are people there who are fantastic at, like, just doing their homework, and they're really good at going, like, if I play this player, this is my deployment, this is my first move, I've thought everything out. And I know people like that. Charlie specifically is one that comes to mind. He's very, very good at that. But then there's other people who are better on their feet, who are like, okay, just throw me in. Okay, I'll do this, and they will be better thinking on their feet than other players will. So it is a different set of skills.
Does the online, I guess, skew towards meta building, so therefore people could win with, like if Cathay 7 balloons is equal to 6 balloons, then it's easier to deploy 6 balloons in the online world than it is in IRL. So is that a reason why you go, well, I can't guarantee that everyone playing in online is I hate saying that, but, a better player. It's just that they're able to deploy the best possible lists all the time because they don't have to do the hobby.
They don't have to buy them and paint them. Like, the meta online does move faster. Like, we see some of these crazy lists that we've seen, like the 100 Tomb King blob lists, which were prevalent online 6 months ago. I've still only seen maybe once or twice in real life or something similar, and that was before 1.5 changes came in. So the sort of online meta moves much faster than the real world meta does, because of obviously the delay of having to buy the models, paint the models, get everything ready, and everything. So online is very good for sort of like practicing and theory crafting stuff out. Are they better players? I don't know.
It's not even the right word, is it? It's just, I guess it comes down to, should the scores be contributing to their same score? Should it be weighted? Or Dan even mentioned this to me offline yesterday, the day before, that just being able to toggle it on and off. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the total score, including all the games? What's the total score?
Yeah. That's fair.
Would you say that playing online involves a sufficiently different skill set that it's effectively a different game? Or is it still fundamentally the same game? Because I don't know about you, but that, to me, that seems to be the question. Because if it's more or less the same skill set, then probably should count towards the. Do you know what I mean?
I would say it is 70 to 75% the same game.
Right.
But there's a significant element there where it's like, it's different to online. So say, for example, the things I notice when I play lots of online games and then suddenly I go to a real world event is I don't have all the data in front of me. So I don't have the stat.
You can't click on the unit.
You can't click on the unit, basically. That's my point. You can't be like,
you could just remember it.
Well, but your opponent's one, your opponent's one, you can't be like, oh, are they weapon skill 5 or the weapon skill 6? What's that special rule that they've got again? Like, you don't want to keep asking your opponent. Sometimes you just have to be like, right, you sort of have a vibes check where you're like, okay, I think if I send this into this, I win, maybe, possibly. While online, you see everything, you can you can do your homework a lot more. So in a way, that part is easier online, is being because you have everything available to you, and you can look up rules and stuff like that. While in person, you have to know the rules, so you have to know more and remember more in real world. You have to be better at thinking on your feet and in the situation in the real world. Online, the pace is a lot slower, but the amount of work you put in online is a lot more as well, because you tend to do a lot of sort of like homework and whatever else. So I think it's different. Like, it's significantly different that you can't compare the same amount of, like, if you had 2 events with the same amount of people, that is one that's online, one's in person, and then you had
well, yeah, like, are you saying, like, if I took the 30 best player, well, not maybe, just 30 players, and they all played online 5 tournaments, and then they played offline, would they get the same
result?
First to 30
I don't think they would.
or,
I don't think they would.
Okay.
And the reason I think that is, especially, so when you go online, when you play online Warhammer, Warhol, etc., you'll play people all over the world generally. And those of us that have played it for a while, you'll actually tend to play the same people a lot of the time. But the point is, there are some people that only play online or mostly play online, who I don't know if they'd have the same results in person, because some of the things that the way they play online, I don't think you could get away with in person, to be 100% honest.
Like what? Like what?
So, say for example, when you're online, you don't see the person, you don't have face to face. You're purely communicating through voice. So you have to be a bit more descriptive, etc. Now, there's often a language barrier, because sometimes you'll be playing with somebody whose native language isn't the same as your own. So, which there is in person if you're doing international events as well, but it's a lot easier to convey what you're doing in person than it is via voice alone. Okay. So sometimes I have seen players who there might be some sort of weird rules interaction that one player doesn't understand how it works, and another player is trying to sort of push their point. It can sometimes lead to I don't want to say bullying, but you essentially pressure somebody into accepting your point of view because you're able to sort of convey it better. Again, that happens in real life also, but in real life, I just feel like you have a lot more feedback, visual and personal feedback in person.
I guess that's a really good basically point, because like in real life, if you got a problem at your table, you can just turn to the bloke at the next table and go, he's saying this, I know it's horseshit, can you just tell him it's
exactly. Usually got a TO as well.
Exactly.
It's like any online medium, you got the keyboard warriors, not just now.
And
games,
you can sort of do that online, but not to the same level. My point is this: it's a lot harder to be a dickhead in person than it is to be a dickhead online, because it's more anonymous. It's like you could be like, well, I'm just gonna play like a dickhead, and if I win, I win. Great. But in person, I don't think you can get away with that.
I guess that's getting back to my original. It's getting back to the second point of why you even do any of this and what are you trying to promote. And like, it's why that's why we have all the fanatics. That's why I have, like, to me, it's a hobby. The game is not just playing the game. It's all of it. And so if I have got some power in setting a ranking because I did it. Like, anyone could do their own. Like, mine's not the best. I would prefer to skew it in a way that it promotes that whole thing, And so even though you can play online, I think at least I'd like to skew it. If I'm not thinking about the analytic part and whether or not it's the same game, it's nice to think about a way to go, hey, those numbers actually are reflective of people who actually turning up to the tabletop most of the time and playing. That's sort of my philosophy. I don't know if it's right, but that's my gut feel says that's what I'd like to skew it more towards.
If the ranking is a way to measure who is successful at Warhammer, and then you have to ask yourself, what is Warhammer? Is Warhammer clicking buttons and moving stuff online? Well, maybe sometimes that's sort of Warhammer. Or is it moving models, playing with somebody, having some banter, having the social experience, painting, everything else, the whole hobby aspect of it? Is that Warhammer? I would say you're more into that physical, tangible hobby part than the mousey clicky button. And I'm convincing myself now, because as somebody who's played
you play a lot of
events,
online.
I know,
exactly.
I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but
you're probably the best.
To me, Warhammer has stood outside whinging about dice rolls whilst smoking.
Yeah. Except online, you complain about random dice generators and how that isn't representative of the real world.
There's no such thing as actually random.
No. Everybody's convinced that there's like a content creator add-on that you can get onto the Warhol platform that only rolls specific rules, and there is, but I won't tell you what it is.
Maybe later.
Yeah. Super secret Patreon access.
All right.
and just so if you're listening to this and like leave your comments down below. Like, this is not half the reason I did this call was I just want to hear what people think. I'd like to get something out. You're never going to please everyone, and the people are going to complain and all that. But I also want to take as much input in, so that when it becomes the ranking, at least for my system, I've done the homework. Basically, that's what it comes down to. Yeah.
I mean, I still think that people who play online, who do well online, are good players. You'll see them do well 100%. In person. And there is the question of, let's say, for example, like you mentioned, the New Zealand community, they only have a couple of events a year. You could be the only person playing Warhammer for hundreds of miles. Maybe you live in the middle of the US, and you don't fancy a 12-hour road trip anywhere. So maybe for you, your only option is to play online. Maybe that's the only way you can get your hobby time. And for a lot, the type of people I see online, a lot of the time is they're almost always men, as they are in this hobby anyway. But they tend to be parents. They tend to be dads with young kids who just, it's hard to justify having a weekend or even a day away from the family. So, maybe your only time to game is 10 p.m. onwards when everybody's asleep or whatever. That maybe that's the only way you can engage with the hobby, and you shouldn't discourage that at all.
Well, that's playing in tournaments, though. Like, you can't like, the top tennis players are the top tennis players because they go to all the tournaments, right? I mean, that's part of being the best, Andre Agassi. That's I'm showing my age now, but Andre Agassi wasn't one of the best players in the world because he sacrificed to be that top sports people, esports or whatever. There's sacrifice involved in being the best. That's unfortunately a reality of life, I'm afraid. But
it is.
I mean, that goes into that point about like, is it just a volume based pointing system, or do you somehow I don't know. I mean, it has to be in some sense unless you cap it. Am I right in thinking you either have to count everything or you have to count your best X in Y games? I mean, how else do you like do it?
Good question. And that's the thing.
And
like Dan's the stats man. He should really tell us how it should be done. What's the ultimate answer?
Well, I mean, I think just look at how other sports do things. Like I don't see the need to reinvent the wheel necessarily. I mean, I know I have a little bit with this thing, but but like there's. I mean, just
don't a lot of sports do count your best X or your last 10 or like how does it?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking like tennis. I was just quickly checking to make sure I do understand it. But like with tennis, it's not really translatable though, because tennis there's like a load of grand slams around the world, and you've got to turn up to all of them, and there's other tournaments as well that are part of the ATP tour and all the rest. So I think it's like 30 events or whatever that you got to try and turn up to a year, and the Grand Slams, you get more points for turning up to those, and then all the points are added up and blah, 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 blah. So, you could do a system like that, but then you'd have to like you'd have to be in a position where you could define whether an event is like a Grand Slam or whatever, and then
but in a way you could do that with attendee size, could you not?
Yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, I settled on like size of total points deployed.
Talk about that, because I put that in, and I actually with that ended up, because one of the things I didn't have in Old World Rankings, and purely because most of the platforms don't, ironically, do not store this, is they don't actually. There's no way to get the points. Like the BCP, you don't set up a tournament and say it's 2,000 points. You just put it in your players pack. Same as New Recruit, I'm pretty sure. So. But there was no real way without me going through and reading the tournament packs.
Manually. Yeah.
Now, AI exists now. So I am in the middle of doing a tournament pack analyzer. So you can search tournaments by, do they serve beer? Do they, all that sort of stuff? Because I think that's a pretty important stat. That's part of Warhammer. Whether or not a bar is available. But what I did do last week to prep for what Dan's about to talk about in terms of points deployed is now when you upload an army list, as soon as one tournament gets at least one army list, it gets AI analyzed, and it's almost 95% accurate in terms of what the points are. And so therefore now I'm able to go back and retrofit, and I'm still doing that a little bit, retrofit every tournament that I've got with what tournament points it was. Okay. Because what Dan talk about, which I actually like, is the concept of points deployed, because it gets around this issue as well. I'll get all my mates and we'll play a heap of 500-point games and smash out like 10 games in a weekend, and now I'm like the best player. And like, so yeah. Talk about deployed, Dan, because I like that.
Yeah, well, that was exactly why I thought that was, because you've got to have like the size of the event, that matters obviously. The sort of the size of the armies that are taken as well. So I think it's probably harder to win a 2,500 point tournament than a 1,500. I don't know, but that it's the mental load on remembering all your stuff, like in terms of it's harder. I think it's probably harder. But yeah, so essentially it's just a multiplication of number of people there, number of points in each army, and number of games. So you get like this total, this biggish number that kind of sort of describes the size of the event. I think the largest I saw, I can't remember actually, the largest when I was again manually doing stuff. Hold on a minute, I'll just oh, it's not allowing me to edit my spreadsheet.
3,000 point events, I think. That's the largest I've seen.
What was the largest? The largest was 450,000. So when I was looking at it, and that was about last year sometime. So I think I stopped faffing around with data last November. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's probably more than that now. And I know some of, like, if you look at some of the ETC 40K style things, I mean, you'd be into millions and millions of points deployed. So like, but it's still my one concern about that. And I noticed on Old World Rankings that you based it at 600,000 or something. But my one concern about that was, would the effect of very, very large results massively skew that? So what I wanted to try and do was essentially try and, I don't know, like have a, you kind of maximize your points deployed at, like, I don't know, 600,000 maybe seems like a good figure, and then you get like more points for bigger tournaments, but not that much more, if that makes sense. And then for smaller tournaments you get quite a lot less, so you kind of, your perfect result is there, and then you do get more for bigger tournaments, but that's like a proper size tournament.
And that's sort of what I'm doing. Obviously the number we can play around with, but that's exactly what I was trying to do, because I thought and I did a bit of analysis. I pulled all the tournaments, and sorry, I will get you my database dump. I was just thinking the other day, get back to you.
Oh no, I was just asking about the Renegades thing, because I was wanting to have a look at, like, but we need enough results for Renegades to actually do any analysis. So no massive rush, but
but with the points deployed thing and all that, what I did is I went back and looked at, like, well, how many tournaments do I have even in there that have more than 40 players or more than 50 players or more than whatever? And it was a pretty small number. You saw, and there's like 1.4% of tournaments like, and this, I think this is, I don't have the numbers, but I guess you guys could tell me what your gut feel is. I feel like this is the addition of the 1 day or three games as well. I don't know if that's just indicative the age of the player bracket, but like
I think that's because of the age of the player bracket. Yeah. I think that has a large effect on it. I think it's a lot easier to get 1 day off from the family than 2 days.
Exactly that. I totally agree. Yeah. Because
so like
look at the old world player base. It's basically us. You know, we've got kids. We've got some money, but we've got kids. So
we've got kids and commitments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like 2 day, like I really find it difficult to justify 2 days away.
Yeah.
Like you know, rugby fits in way better because it's just a day and I can take the family with me. And
Well,
having said that, I have played games where the dad has taken the family with him, and they sit behind him while he's playing Warhammer, and it's the most depressing thing I have ever seen.
Yeah, I know. That's what you meant I was going then.
That's even worse than the girlfriend sitting next to them being like,
"Oh, is it almost on par with going to the casino and leaving your kids in the car? Is that?
It's more the equivalent of going to a stag do and bringing your girlfriend along with you. Like it's not really the scene for it, you know.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Fair enough. Having said that, there is a lot more with the age group as we're getting older. There's a lot. I am seeing the odd dad son pairs coming through as well.
Yeah, that's wicked. Cool.
I mean, at the UK scene, you've got the Toll family.
The Tolls, they're all top 5, are they?
There are, yeah. They're just and the younger and you know, Jack, he's only like 12 years old, so you know they really
well, he's ranked 5th in the world by the current set of beta.
He does all right. He does all right. No, but that's the type of thing that you want is, you know, if you're passionate about a hobby and you've got kids, then you love to get your kids involved in it, and you can use tournaments as an excuse to spend time bonding by taking your kid away to play events.
Is Stephen the dad?
Yeah,
Steve's the dad.
Okay, well, he's worked it out, hasn't he?
He has. Yeah. We should all be that forward thinking.
I had the wrong. My kids came out with the wrong. The wrong gender, technically, whatever it's called. So they're not into that.
Well, it's all flexible now.
They were painting my figures years ago, but they've sort of gone off that now that they're.
It's funny because my daughter like paints models, but like she's 15, but she's not really doesn't seem that interested in the actual game itself. But like she likes the lore and painting and the artwork and all that kind of stuff. But like, playing a game.
But I mean,
it is an interesting point of discussion, and this is just a side grade with regards to the amount of the gender balance between sort of, you know, men and women who like this hobby. I feel just from attending events for Warhammer specifically, it's 99% men and maybe 1% women.
Google Analytics,
white men, and it's like you go to it's like the sea of diversity, isn't it? It's brilliant, you know.
Yeah. but then you see there's obviously a lot. There's a lot of female content creators for Warhammer who do other things. They're more into the hobby side of it. Some of them maybe some of them like to play other systems. Maybe just Warhammer the Old World specifically isn't really the setting for it. And I have played other competitive systems like Guild Ball, where the gender split was maybe 94% men, which doesn't seem like a massive difference. But when you see one woman at a 100-player event and suddenly you see 4, you're like, oh my god, it's like day and night. But obviously it's still an extreme. But it is interesting to see that Warhammer Old World, the square basis specifically, is generally a very male dominated pursuit.
I mean it's partly just the history too of who we are and how we've grown into our age group now, but it's probably one of these things where they're just, I don't know, we just tend to be. I think it's not even males. It's just this I bet you there's a personality trait that flows in as well.
Personality.
I think Val talks about this all the time. The stupidity of what you have to go through to actually play this game.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that this sea of diversity is also a sea of neurotypical behavior.
I was going to say, I think it would be a really interesting study, even anecdotally, of how much of the hobby world is neurodivergent. ADHD and autism, I think would very
much.
My
wife says you have to get tested one day.
Like, it's there. It's like it's very apparent. Like I've spoken to several people, just sort of like casually about it, and they said, "Oh yeah, I've got ADHD," and it's like it's apparent because you get fascinated by a topic, you get fascinated by a subject, you
go deep.
you completely go deep. And you
hence
get
why you go, I need rankings. I need to put numbers on this thing.
Well, exactly. Sometimes you do.
Not enough
Sometimes
numbers.
You just need to get it out there so that it's no longer just in your head and
I could come back to it and know where I was up to because it's ordered.
Exactly.
That's a bit of a tangent, but it's all I don't know. It's sort of, that's why I wanted to get you on just to talk about this sort of stuff. Because I don't even know where to go from now. But where'd we even get up to?
Well, we got into a conversation of how much value do you place on online results versus real world?
Oh yeah, that was where we started. Yeah,
if you backtrack 20 minutes ago,
about 20 minutes,
because I think we're pretty much agreed that they're not equitable in terms of they're not really 100% the same thing. They do use a lot of the same skill sets. The question is then, how much of a difference is there?
And I guess the simple solution, and I'm not going to totally fix everything on this call, but if you did what Dan, if I did what you were saying, where it's just turn it on, turn it off, that's cool. But would you ever then, I guess, could do that, but then also, if you just wanted to have a look at, well, I just want to look at the online, who's the best online player? We technically already have that anyway. Although I might switch the ranking around just to use the same algorithm or something, but you've got that as well. So I guess you can look at it three ways then. You can just offline, both, or just online. You do what you want with that number, I guess. And to my other point around, well, should you just add them all up? And if you played 300 games in a year, you're probably right at the top. But if you are from Australia, then is it that bad to toggle on filter by Australia and be happy that you're number one ranked in Australia? Do you know what I mean? Like it's relative at the end of the day, because if you're from Australia, you all suffer the same issue that there's only X number of tournaments, and so
but it's a global ranking system, and if there's not enough available games, then to be honest, it's just to me it's just tough. Like that's because you can't in a global ranking system give everybody in Australia 2 times the points because there aren't many tournaments. Because then essentially you're saying that Australians are worth twice as much as Americans. Now, some people may disagree with that opinion.
But have to wait.
100%.
It's difficult. It's like the implications of correcting for that are. Do you know what I mean? That's I don't know, arguably worse maybe, but
I think I agree. It's too I was thinking of different ways, but at the end of the day, you always end up with that same problem. It's like, wow. And you always find these edge cases where you go, well, now this person who went really good in 4 games in New Zealand is worth right at the top because the way you scaled it and all this sort of stuff, they're the best player. Now in reality, you go, but they're not. Like, you could probably tell that. I'm not picking on New Zealand there, but they're just a very small community.
Just easy to bully for you, isn't it?
Naturally
easy to bully.
They can come over. They can whinge. Probably related to them somehow. But so I sort of agree. I'm almost at that point where I don't really care about it, but at the same time, would love to hear people's opinions on if they care about it. And again, going back to my point about the online thing, we have an Australian Masters ranking. That's what that's for as well. Like, if you want to know where you sit and what's of value in Australia, well, we have a ranking system. We already have a Masters season, so that's the best way to do it. So
So maybe at the end of the day, you just create multiple toggleable sort of drop downs where you go, okay, what's the combined value of all the games that you play online and real life, etc., forever, and then maybe what's your real world gaming ranking, and then what's your online ranking, which you already have anyway. Maybe that's the solution, and then people take
I'll hit you up with one I'll hit you up not one challenge, but you can answer me, which one do I show on the homepage?
The global ranking probably makes most sense, doesn't it? Because it's almost the default. The everything. And then from there,
you're back on 3rd place. Is that right?
I mean, this is just about pure coincidence. But if that's the case, then I guess no, totally not a selfish move there. But But no, I think I think global ranking is probably your default, and then you go by country or whatever you can then choose and see what you want to do from there. Because at the end of the day, it's all just bragging points between you and your mates, isn't it? You'd be like, nothing. I mean, oh, really, here I'm, I'm the, I can drill down. I can say, look, I'm the top player in Scotland, or which I don't even think I am. That's how bad it is. But it's all just bragging rights and all just banter. That's all it is.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And obviously, you can do it down to the faction level as well, which is good. So that's interesting as that gets expanded out a bit more. I think people actually sometimes like that more because it's something that gives them a target they can hit. Sometimes, like this is the thing, like you're never going to probably play as many games as Phil, I don't think, or Jack plays a lot by the look of it. But you can generally target one of those other ones where you go, oh, okay, I'm third place in whatever, Chaos Dwarves. Maybe I can go for that, which is cool. So, I don't know. It's Is there anything else I'm missing with it? I guess I don't know how far you guys went with. It's basically the same scoring as what Dan was talking about. Maybe a little bit quibble around how many points is the not points. What do you do as the sort of the ideal tournament size in terms of the points deployed? But
might be an idea to go over actually the formula because that's something I don't think everybody will know and or understand. Of how
I probably don't even understand. And I probably added some stuff here that we could probably throw out or not. Let me just So if you do go to Old War Rankings and you get to this global rankings, there's this how's this ranking score calculated. So it's basically what Dan was talking about in terms of where you sit your win rate times this sort of size multiplier. Decay factor, and then this is this major multiplier. So this is this thing Dan sort of alluded to, which again, the actual values here might be adjusted, and that's sort of why I've got it beta. But to sort of say, if you go above that size multiplier, like where does it? Yeah, so basically trying to identify those sort of super majors down the track and stuff that are worth more. Actually, sorry, no, this is slightly different, Dan. What this was an extra multiplier on a specific event, so not just the size. And what I thought there, and I did it for the Australian one, and I'll do it for others like the UK are running their Masters, is that their Masters event, you do actually turn it on. And so if you win the UK Masters, it's actually worth a bit of a bump. If you make it in there and you play in that tournament, bumps it up just a bit. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Obviously, I don't know the exact number. I've got a number in here, but can quibble about details. But that was the idea.
I agree. I mean, I had a quick look before I came on, and I think it's a good idea. I think those events where everybody sort of qualified to get there are probably worth more in terms of like your or should be more reflected in your overall points because obviously you're playing harder competition. Everybody's good.
It actually takes away.
But there's another event. I don't know whether they still do it up in where is it? It's up in Mansfield. I've been to a few of them, but anyway, they do like 3 a year, and then they do like a final at the end of the year, which is a bit like you've got to qualify to get to by being in the top 10 or something like that. But yeah, I'm sure there are others, all over the world, but those sorts of where you have to qualify, I think those should definitely be worth more. Yeah, I agree.
Now, obviously, I'm turning that checkbox on effectively based on what I think by looking at them. But as this gets, if you guys want to, if you're listening to this and this is interesting, there is a Discord channel for Old World Rankings. You're welcome to jump in there. It's pretty easy for me to give you some extra permissions to do certain things, and I'm always after help sort of managing the database type thing. So basically that's that formula that Dan was sort of getting to. I think the only thing is I think I just brought it back to try and do it out of, I can't remember what this was, score raw times 100. I think it's just because it ended up being a number between 1 and 0. So I pushed it to out of 100, I think. Oh, I can't remember. Then this is just some stats as why it's set up that way, just in terms of
gives you an example.
This 50 player thing was the 50 players, 2,000 points, 5 rounds, I think is what I came up. Is that how I got to the 60? Is that equal 60,000? It's something like that anyway. It's one of them, or maybe 50 times. Well, I can't do the math.
60.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, okay. So it probably
60.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But only 1.4% of tournaments at the moment are above 50 anyway. So that's sort of like a pretty hard target to even hit. But that's why I put it there. Now, whether it should be lower or not, all it does is change your number. It doesn't really do anything. And then I did do this. I capped it at, I put a floor if it's below a certain amount. So therefore, like, if you played 500, now I could get rid of this, but if you played 500 point games, it's so small, the number, that it's like it doesn't really get anywhere. So like I sort of put a floor on. So if you go to if you're starting out, and I thought this is relevant to the fact that not only is Rob, but the Square Base guys have their 500 point system, and I'm pretty sure there's that 500 point one coming in the set. Is it Cetra's Fury or the other one, Arcane Journal we're getting? Is getting more rules for the 500 point range. I was thinking it might be a good idea to make sure if you're playing in 500 point games, that they're not, I guess they're brought up just a little bit. They're not so much brought up, they just don't fall below a certain amount in terms of their sizing. That's all, just to make sure that you at least accumulate points. Whether or not that's a good idea, I don't know, but that's sort of what I was going at. Offline events aren't hard capped. That just means, it just keeps going above that rank. You can basically go over 100% effectively if you get over that 600,000 points deployed. I won't get into the maths, but that's what it is. And then online events are capped at a baseline to avoid inflated points. So this is where I went. Because if you look at something like SBot, it's huge.
Yeah.
So it bumps above that 600,000 points deployed. I just went, no, if you hit that and it's an online event, you can't go above that 600,000 points deployed, because it's just too easy to have events that are massive above that. So again, that's sort of what I was at. There's some of the constraints I was putting on it, I guess. And then Dan, this is the one I actually didn't ask you about. How do you define win rate? Because I did put draws.
Yeah, I did notice your draws there. Yeah, I think I didn't add wins in, but I think with draws being more of a thing nowadays. Actually, I say that, did I? I can't remember.
There is a lot more now than there probably. Yeah.
I didn't actually use win rate at all. I used just rank percentile.
I thought you had a win rate in the one you sent me.
No, mine was rank percentile times 1 plus total deployed over a number times exponential decay, basically.
Okay, maybe I just read that one. Okay, might have to look at that. Whether or not I add that in or not, I'm not sure. Because, you could take that out effectively, because the issue with that one, to be honest, I might even look at that, because the issue with that is not every tournament, depending if you F up your settings in BCP or New Recruit, and for some of the manually scored tournaments, I don't get win rate. I just get their ranking. And so on those tournaments, they don't.
I think that's partially why I did it, because quite a lot of tournaments, like you said, some people cock up the result. But sometimes, like, all the results are just recorded as draws for some reason.
Yes,
I don't know why. I don't know why.
It must be some quirk, and if you do it wrong, you can't fix it. Sometimes I go and, for the big ones, I'll go and fix them for them. I'll go through and manually go. You're sitting there looking at the blue in BCP, but counting, okay, that's above 10, so that's a win. That's so annoying.
18 points, 18-2 draw. That's
yeah. So they're the things I do for the community on a Monday, Tuesday, FYI, just to make sure the data's as close as good. I don't know when Dan starts doing his meta weeklies, but I try to get them in before then, because I've noticed
Wednesday.
Doing
that's handy.
Wednesday,
yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah.
I've been trying to fix up and add lists in before they, before you do them, just to give you a bit more data. But anyway, so that's basically how it works. I mean, again, won't get into the time to go thing. I pushed it to, I think it's a 24-month one. Oh, so no, I did do this. So this is because you can put, like you were saying, Dan, you can push that number out. Effectively, it's still exponential decay, but you can make it go as much as you want. What I did, though, is because, and this is probably more just because this is live data, if I just do it out of the box and just do it, it will actually, if you go, because it recalculates every day, or it can recalculate as much as it wants, you'd actually see a daily change, or even more than a daily change in your on your number because it was doing it daily. I actually went back and changed it so it's basically weekly granular. So therefore your score won't drop off that week until the next week when it's sort of the decay factor kicks back in.
I did mine in complete months.
Yeah, that's the other. I was thinking about that, but then I thought it's weekly, okay, because the tournaments come in weekly. So
yeah, weekly seems better. Yeah,
I know. And that's about it, I think. I mean, I can't remember what all these were. Some of this is AI generated in the sense we'd come up with the algorithm and I say, write me out a page that is sort of readable, and this is what this one is. So that's that multiplier. So that one up here, this major multiplier, is 1.2 at the moment. Again, these are all pluggable. I just change the numbers and that's what happens. But they're sort of what I'm working off to get that number. And then I did do this. Minimum 6 players, 500 army points. I don't know if, I don't know. I don't know if it needed a minimum, but I thought at some point probably have to. Anyway, so that probably too much maths for most people, but at the end of the day, it comes out with a number.
I'm sure Mr. Mathhammer will be happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or probably not. It'll probably be
He'll find a flaw.
Full of rage with how terrible the maths are.
And just so everyone knows,
actually, looking at your score, I've just got on my spreadsheet up. Phil Cole last year, my score, he had basically 573 points, and now he's down to 475. So that's Luna was on 501, and now she's down to 3,
I wonder if that's that win rate coming in then.
Yeah, I think it's the win rate that's changed that. Yeah.
Because sorry, I think in your Slack message you might have mentioned win rate to me at some point. Not Slack, Discord, and then maybe at home.
Whatever.
Look.
I don't even know what Slack is. Don't introduce me to another chat thing.
Okay.
Barely keeps up with the technology as it is.
I'm just coming up with questions there. This is what I would do on a software thing. I'm talking to a client. Obviously, I have this little indicator because it calculates all the time. And what I do is go, well, I have every week. I then go, have I calculated more than a week ago? No. So then I save I saved last week's number, and so that way you get a change in week and you get a change in month. However, I thought for global rankings, maybe it's less important about the week change as it is what was I last month, what was I last, I don't know, 3 months, something like that, a bit more stretched out, but whatever. But it's just, that's what that number little thing is, if people are wondering what it does. And it's just obviously tracking all your achievements, which I'm going to expand on these, but these are just basically your podiums at the moment, or if people have logged them, because you can do this, you can see wooden spoons, best painted, best sport, stuff like that. But because they don't come through on the tournament platforms a lot, you have to manually do it. So, you have to tell me about it or not, and I'll put it in. But
what about some sort of icon for a Masters winner?
Yes. So that's 100% coming. So that's actually why I changed. Well, I don't know if you know. Well, maybe it's not, but I'm going to use that icon. I'm going to use just the number 1 emoji for normal rank, and then use these trophies for your masters, because we obviously have Jamie Payne from the Australia, who's our first master. So that way they'll see master ones here as well.
That would be cool.
Yeah, no, that's 100% coming. And obviously the factions. So I'm currently building out my own icons for the factions, and you'll also have because if you go to your player profile, it should show you where you sit. So for example, Phil Carl's number 1 in Nomadic War and Tomb Kings in the US. So I'll start bringing that into this screen as well, so you can see where you sit, not only what factions you play, but what ranking you're at in those factions. So it's heaps more. It'll flow through. This ranking here will flow through to your player screen at some point. That's just not in there yet. And obviously, I don't know if you've done this before, but if you share your profile on social media, I'll do a little bit more around that screen, because that will then put these numbers live into your thing. So if you throw it into a Facebook group or something, it'll tell you your current rank.
Actually, I do know what I'm talking about, because if you have a look at my online ranking,
So that probably is. I need to go back and
to start an argument.
Don't look at mine. It's very much down.
Mine's horrendous. Anyway, wow, we hit an hour. But I guess that's where it's at. I mean, it sounds like it's pretty close. It's just maybe few little number changes and bring those filters in for online. But if we're, you know, if that's going to please the majority, if I really care about that or not, I'm not sure. It'll probably, it'll just be there and you can start looking at it, I guess. So,
yeah.
I mean, another thing you could do actually is like the like official Masters tournaments. You could give them like maybe as much as like a double weighting in terms of points, because if you wanted to like represent the best players in the country globally, then they're going to have to qualify to get there anyway, and they are going to be the best players in their country. So that would bump them up the rankings quite significantly just with that one result.
Well, it's that, and also
it wouldn't be for very long, of course, but
no, yeah. But those ones are generally ones that also are offline. They would be only pretty much probably, and then therefore you're sort of skewing that the people who are turning up in person are obviously helping them boot them up even more than if you're just turning up to offline. Online ones. As I said, it's all, to me, it's just changing the number and it just recalculates. But I was, you got to pick a number somewhere. I just did. So you reckon 2? I mean, I wouldn't be against that.
Well,
maybe,
like,
but
a Masters event is going to be, depending on the country, anywhere between 16, 24, 32 people thereabouts. But even coming last at a Masters event, having played the best people in the country that you're in, it's still going to be better than, coming last at your local 1 day, 2 day event, which is just
or even coming mid-table. That's
exactly.
Yeah. So maybe
that's interesting.
Comment down below. Should it be double?
Yeah.
Should it be double? Should it be triple? Who knows?
Well, I don't know about that.
There's a happy medium there somewhere.
Cool. Well, I don't know. Any other thoughts or ideas, guys? Before
other than it's a fantastic resource, and I'm glad you've done it because it's saved me an awful lot of time.
I appreciate
definitely.
All the chats back and forth has been good. Yeah, because I wasn't involved in any of the old ways. I played in 8th tournaments.
One thing I would suggest. Sorry to interrupt. One thing I would suggest is can you get it to stop asking me for money, because I've already joined Patreon. And then pop-up keeps coming up and saying, I need money off you. And I'm like, I paid you.
You know what? I can do that. I actually do. It's just not plugged into Patreon. So I forget. I have to go and change a little flag on your account. So I'll do that because it should do that. Yeah. I built that in. I just have to manually do it.
That's just me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's good.
Personal gripe.
It is a great resource though, Gomo. Like, honestly,
it is fantastic.
It's a really great website. You can spend hours just looking through all the different features and my favorite one personally is having a look at how the different armies are doing in terms of their performance metrics and stuff like that, and Dan obviously does his meta updates as well, which I find really interesting, just to see that for me has more value than say an individual ranking, because that can chop and change, but these are statistically significant, or they certainly get to that stage eventually. So I think that's a really, really cool feature.
It's interesting. Wild Herd looks like it's broken as well. That's
I know.
I said that would be strong when I did a review of the book, but anyway.
Especially since the 1.5. I mean, you never saw. I guess we didn't really get to see Beastman without the 1.5, really. But with the magic nerf, it just made these guys, even more attractive.
Well, and also you get an extra 50 points of items, don't you? You get an extra 25 of magic and extra. I think it's the mutations that are sort of skewing it a little bit.
Well,
so you get these really cheap, really good characters that just sit in massive units that don't run away. It's great.
There's definitely a discussion to be had about that, a meta watch one. But that is a very, very useful piece of kit, and there's a lot of other really useful bits and pieces you can do on the website. So hats off to you for creating it and supporting it. Very much.
Actually, I was just going to say, if you are getting prompted around that pop-up, Dan, are you logged in?
Yeah.
I'm getting that prompt as well.
Interesting. Do you say not this time? Because then it goes away for a couple of weeks. If you just close it, it'll come back, but there's a little button there that says not now.
Oh, there's a tiny little button hidden somewhere. All right.
Yeah,
the opt-out is always impossible to find.
Exactly. If you are, you got to you got to push it. You got to get some money somehow. If that does annoy you guys, just let me know in the comments. But also, like I said to Dan, let me know. I can toggle a little thing off if you have paid, and it should show up. I haven't integrated with Patreon directly yet. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for your time, guys. I know it's early morning, or not early morning, but you're mid-morning. Probably got stuff to do.
It's almost second breakfast time.
Yeah, and I guess if you
French time now,
if by some chance you haven't seen these two awesome gentlemen, I'm assuming you have, but Pash Hammer's over on. It's just Pash Hammer, isn't it, on YouTube?
It's just Pash Hammer. I kept it nice and original.
Yeah, awesome. And then Malign Musings, obviously Dan's got it in his name there as well, over on YouTube as well, doing his weekly updates on the meta as well. I'm Gomo from Old World Fanatics as well. This is on the Old World Fanatics channel. We do podcasts every Monday, live streams, so check us out over there. Like, subscribe, leave us comments, all that sort of awesome stuff. And if you want to join our Patreon or any of these, do you have a Patreon, any of you two?
No,
not yet. Not yet.
I'll just join ours on patreon.com/oldworldfanatics, but I'm assuming these guys will appreciate your likes, subscribes, and all that if you haven't.
Definitely.
So, cool. Well, enjoy your rest of your day, guys. Thanks so much for coming on. I'll chat.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Toodaloo.
Old World Rankings. Ranking players worldwide. Find upcoming tournaments. View latest results. Search thousands of army lists. Global faction statistics. Old World Rankings. Free to join today.